So can you talk a little bit about where you got your start in music?
So I've been doing music all my life. I really started out like normally in the church, I feel like everybody else does. I was a singer first, so I really found myself and my sound in the church. And then when I got older, my dad, excuse me, my dad, he is a rapper. And he used to be in a rap group called Crush Crew, so shout out to Crush Crew. And they used to open up around the city for like Run DMC at that time was the crew. And so I got a lot of my rapping skills from my dad. I really didn't start rapping until I was like 21. I used to go to A&T University, shout out to NC A&T, Aggie Pride. And I was in Couture there, and Couture basically shaped me, I feel like, as an artist. I first was just a singer, then I became a poet, and then I became a rapper. And they loved me and supported me through that process. So that was pretty cool. And I became who I am. And then got into a rap group myself called 24K. And we were in a rap group for about 7 years. And then I branched out to my own. And throughout that process, I think I just kind of learned the different stages of me and who I am and what my sound is. And I've always loved music. Music is my life. So, I wouldn't be here without it.
So you mentioned that your father was a rapper. How involved was your father in like molding you into like who you are now in terms of being an artist? Was it like Jackson 5 vibes or?
It's so crazy. Actually, I was raised by my mom. My mom is very religious, and we went to church every Sunday, every Wednesday. Like for Bible study, vacation Bible school. I was in the choir. I was an usher. Like I was just very heavily in the church. My dad actually was in and out of my life until I was like 16. He sold drugs, and then he was on drugs, and then he got locked up for a long time. And we still kept in communication. Like I would see him here and there. I remember like driving down the street. I used to live in Ohio. So I was born in Greensboro, and then I moved to Maple Heights and Ohio, and then we were there till I was 14, and then I moved back to Greensboro. And seeing him like one day like strung out, like low-key took me out. Like I'm not even gonna lie, like as a child seeing your dad, like seeing him so strong at one point in your life, and then I was like a teenager at that point and seeing him like he was like 90 pounds, soaking wet probably, and like hair all over his head. And he came and he hung out with me. Like my dad was always a good dad, no matter like whatever. Like he just like, or made sure that I knew that he loved me, So when he actually went away and got locked up and he got out when I was around like 16, 17, it took a long time for me and my dad to gain this relationship that I wanted to have. But when we did, and I got a chance to really forgive him, because you can be telling somebody you love them, and you can be saying that that you're okay with everything that's going on, but God was just beating me up one day. He was like, you keep telling him you love him, you need to tell him how you feel so that you can really heal from that situation. And I called him, I told him like, I was crying. And when I got done, he was like, all right, baby, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that all over again? Because I couldn't hear anything you were saying. And I was like, sick, you know what I'm saying? But I slowed myself down and I explained to him, my hurt and the trauma that I had been through, and how at that time in my life, I've always been very mature for my age. So at that time in my life, how I really needed, a father figure around. And he took that and he ran with it. And ever since then, he got his life together. He's been sober for over 14 years now. I actually moved and lived with him at one point in my life after college, and actually stayed with him and his wife now. And I have 3 younger siblings on my dad's side. I'm the second oldest of 7. So he was the one that really got me to rap, and I appreciate my dad for that, so yeah.
All right. And so your father is the one who really got you interested in music. What was your relationship with your mother like? Was she interested in music just as much as your dad?
No, my mom, like I said, is very religious. She really, if I'm gonna be honest, it took a long time for my mom to support me as a musician. She really didn't, like my mom is married to a Nigerian. They've been married for a long time. Yeah, so it's crazy. My dad's married to a white lady. I love her. You know, she's been my mom for years. And then my mom's married to a Nigerian, so I have all different types of nationalities in my family. And one, it taught me to understand stuff from different races and perspectives. But two, it just, you know, it made me grow up a little bit faster because it was like, oh, I have to be this person for my younger siblings. And my mom, she was just very religious. She was just like, you need to be a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, like teacher, something like that. And I just never was that person. And I think I reminded her so much of my dad that it was just like, no, don't do this because it might turn out like this. But then when I got older and she saw how serious I was about it and how persistent I was about it, she started to respect me for it. And now it's like, you know, still turned into a CEO, so a lifestyle she respects, you know.
Okay, thanks. No, that's true though.
Yeah.
So earlier you mentioned that you started out in a group, right? Mm-hmm. What is it, and now I know that you're like a solo artist. Mm-hmm. Do you enjoy being in a group more than being a solo artist, or you like being a solo artist more?
If I'm gonna be honest, I love being a solo artist only because I get to make my own decisions. And I get to be my own creative person. And you know, when you're in a group, that's like your vision has to align with each other in order for that group to work out. Or, you know, the work ethic has to be the same. A lot of things has to be equally yoked and balanced. And at that point in time, I think we just was doing two different things, was on two different paths, and I was appreciative of being in that group because it did show me a lot of things about myself, about the music industry. I grew into the person that I am today because of that. So, I mean, I'm very appreciative of the time that I did having with that, you know.
Are you an independent artist or are you signed to a label?
I am an independent artist, but I do have my own arts and entertainment company called Mo Music Entertainment. We are an artist development company that specializes in we are an entertainment company that specializes in artist development. So we connect artists with industry professionals so they can get ready for tour and live performances.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. And so what made you transition from being a solo artist to now basically owning your own entertainment company?
So I'm still an artist myself. I still rehearse. I am in artist development. I am working on an EP right now called Undeniable. So it's not, I give very much mogul vibes. I do it all and a lot of things. And so I never transitioned out of that. I just continued to, you know, add things that I was passionate about. And right now I am doing the Press Play Showcase that happens every month, which Westleaf was one of my judges for. I do the Bring Rap Back Cypher that goes on every month, and then a couple other events I am hosting. And well, actually I'm sponsoring BET Hip Hop Weekend that's going to be at the end of September. So along with myself and Kel John, we'll be performing and be there to participate as well.
What's been the most challenging part about being an independent artist?
Paying for everything yourself. That's really the biggest thing. It takes money to be an artist. Like, it takes so much money from, you know, I pay, even though a lot of people that I work with are close friends of mine, I pay all of my friends. That's the one thing that I just don't believe in, is just making somebody do something for you for nothing, or at least bartering services with people so that you can see the value in them and they see the value in you. And that's my biggest thing. I just want to network vertically and not, or is that vertically and not horizontally? Is that right? Vertically and not horizontally. You have it, but vertically and not horizontally. But yeah, I just want to network with people around me. Like, why am I trying to reach up here to things that might not be as attainable to somebody that does the same thing right here beside me? So that's what what my main thing is and my main focus. I want my whole team to eat. And I noticed that I'm a leader, and God placed me in this position because He knows that I can do it. So why not, do it to the best of my ability?
Right. And so your music is, I would say, like, it's not necessarily contemporary because it's like super bar heavy. And I feel like you really have like mastered the craft of rapping. Can you talk a little bit about your inspiration for being like a true MC?
One of my favorite rappers is Lauryn Hill. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, is she a rapper for real? I feel like Lauryn Hill is an artist. Like, she sings and she raps. And I'll take a lot of, I can say, the studies that I've had and the cadence from the things that she does. Lil' Kim was one of my like biggest influences. Any female rapper, honestly, like from Nicki all the way down. I listen to Megan Thee Stallion every day. Lotto, Flo Milli, like Tierra Whack. All of these like great. Missy Elliott is one of my biggest influences. Queen Latifah, like I have both of Lauren and Queen on me. I don't know if y'all can see it, but Lauren and Queen both are on me heavy. And then I love Biggie. Any of the older 90s hip hop because that's what like I said, my dad, I grew up around that year. And one of my favorite male rappers would be Drake, J. Cole, especially because I'm from NC, and J. Cole just always had that type of swag that I admire about. And Drake too, one thing they can do is the cadence in the pocket or just making anything sound cool. Like that was my biggest thing. Like, how do I make the things that I want to say be a reflection and still be relatable to everybody else around me? And I think that's, one thing that I've been trying to master when I hear my own things or I'm producing my own beats. It's like, okay, this sounds good to me, but how can I make this a timeless type, something where people are going to be putting in their Instagram captions, because that's the thing nowadays, and putting it on social media and making sure that people are just tuned in to what I have going on.
If you could collab with any artist, who would you work with?
Child.
Like what's that combo that you feel like be like the perfect alchemy?
Well, I would love a Drake record. I feel like that's anybody, but I would love a Drake record. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna manifest that. I'm a love a Drake record. I love Cardi B too. I would love a Cardi record. Just because it's just like, I don't know, regular schmegular girls, and we doing extraordinary things, out here. Like I said, any female artist I would love to collaborate with, but definitely let that Drake holla at me, for sure.
What has been your overall experience as a woman in the music industry?
It's not easy. It's not easy. A lot of the times you are overlooked, or if you're not that like assertive, aggressive personality, it's like you can just get overshadowed, overlooked by everything else that's going on. And so with me, one thing that my artist development coach, Keith Andre, love my choreographer, one thing that he taught me while I was in artist development in the early stages was I always thought that I was great with my brand and my marketing, but one thing he really taught me was like, how you look says a lot about you before you even open your mouth, and first thing that people see is what you look like, so if you don't have this all packaged together, this looking right, then nobody's going to hear what comes out of your mouth. And that really, that took me a long way in a lot of situations, or business rooms, business meetings, clients. It's just, okay, automatically if I come in dressed a certain way, they automatically are taking me serious, and then the things that are coming out of my mouth are matching with how I act, how I move, how I speak. And so that's the biggest thing for me, just making sure that I'm put together in a package in a way that, people are wanting some more, all the time.
Okay. So you're running multiple businesses now, and you are an independent artist. Would you take a deal from a major label?
So what I always tell people is I am the stepping stone to your major label. I am not here to fund hella careers. I'm not a record label. What I do is I prepare artists to be seen by that $1 million deal or somebody that wants to invest in them. And it's the same thing for myself. So I'm preparing myself to be seen and get the right opportunity. I don't think that I would ever sign like a 360 deal. I don't know. Let me say, if the money was right, I might, you know what I'm saying? If they was really talking about some bands for real, I might turn up. But really, the way I'm doing it has worked out for me. Like, God has provided me with opportunities and things that I have never imagined, like, or I've imagined for myself, but just haven't got to the point where it's just, you know, manifested in my life until now. So I possibly could if the money was right, but for my other artists, I always encourage them, hey, if you get an opportunity to be seen or somebody dropping some money on you, let's partner together so that we can get you the best deal possible.
So you've done all these amazing things. You have your own entertainment company, you're an artist, you're an all-around mogul. What advice would you give to the person who is sitting at home watching this, who may want to rap, who may want to get into the entertainment industry, who may want to start their own business? What would you tell them?
It's really do your research. Do your research. Read, Google, YouTube University is the biggest thing I could tell anybody. That's my number one. My number two is keep going. It's gonna be hard out here for a pimp. You're gonna have to just keep going. When you're not getting the likes, you're not getting the recognition, strangers are gonna support you before your family and friends do. So don't take that as a personal thing. It's really just more so it's hard for people that grew up around you to see you in a better light, you know. So until you get a great circle of friends around you to really support you and do what you're doing, that's gonna be, you know, the number one, having great support around. And then the next thing is going to be consistency is key. You know, like that goes hand in hand with keep going. As long as you're staying consistent, you're being intentional with everything that you're doing, your content, your social media, putting out, you know, being authentic, being your real self. That's one thing I pride myself on, is just being real. Like, yeah, I go to Girl Mob. You know, y'all make sure y'all come to Girl Mob Museum. I do go to Girl Mob for my 9 to 5, and then I'm out here being a mogul with my other artists when they got something going on, and then I make sure I work on Mo Lip Cosmetics on the weekends, and then I'm still going out here and I'm writing music at the end of the night. Like, I'm up to 3, 4 o'clock in the morning because I really love what I do, you know? So you have to love what you do. You have to breathe, sleep, and eat this, or it's like, what's the point of you doing it? Don't waste your own time and don't waste nobody else's.